Welcome to Portland Industry Insider. Our topic of the day is acting, and our guest today is an expert in the field, not only as a participant in the craft, but as a teacher as well. It's a pleasure to have her here for this episode, and welcome Kristina Haddad.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Yes. It's nice to meet you. We've never met before.
No, we haven't.
Right? This is
No.
our first time together.
Yeah.
When I was talking with the nice people at Option about who to invite to chat with for this episode, and your name came up, and with great enthusiasm.
I'll take it.
So
Thank you.
in the questions that I said, the framework that I sent over to you, I thought I was being rather cheeky when I said the first question was, do this.
I know, I love that. Actually, I knew exactly what you meant by that.
Right.
Yes.
So for actors,
Yes.
based on your experience as an actor,
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher, as a coach, do this.
Yeah, do this. Prepare. Yeah. I think there's a, in this culture that we're in, this quick culture that we're in now in our, society, there's kind of a, winging it kind of thing. And in this profession, it's a craft, and preparation is the number one thing. And that means, it depends on what the role, what the, audition's for and what the situation is, but I think that would be the number one as far as a tangible thing is don't go in and just wing it. Have respect for what you're doing. You're being invited in for an audition, and you should prepare accordingly, just like it's a job interview or anything like that.
The famous jazz musician Bill Evans, piano player, said, and I'm going to paraphrase this, it was approach the music like no one is, respect the music.
Yeah.
Like no one's ever going to hear what you play.
Right.
Except for you.
Oh, I love that.
And approach it like that. It was something that was
Yeah,
a little,
yeah.
he was a little more articulate and dramatic, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yes,
So what are the mechanics?
Yeah.
Give me a quick, because it is a quick culture.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, the mechanics of getting to that place of preparation, so you're walking in the door confident.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, obviously as an acting coach, I'd say be training. I mean, be learning the craft. And if you're not training, be doing your craft all the time, because I liken it to being an athlete or being a musician. It's you want to be agile and in shape so that anything literally that's thrown at you, you're I can catch that ball, I can hit that ball, have that nimble flexibility. And so the mechanics are okay, you get an audition for a TV show and, it's a couple of pages and what have you, is to understand what the show is, know the genre, research, if the show's already on the air, watch some episodes to get a sense of the tone of it. If it's not on the air and you don't know anything about the production, still do research and maybe glean a little bit of an idea. Casting directors are awesome about, putting in, they'll tell you, it's please, we just want a natural read, or, generally they'll give you the tone also, but doing that initial kind of, okay, let me understand the world that I'm in is a number one thing. And then reading through a detective, I say it's detective work, the actual, sides that you're given, so you don't miss important clues about your character's point of view and what's going on in the scene, because often what happens is, again, people just go to it, they kind of read it quickly, make assumptions, go in and miss really important clues about that inform the character. And an actor that does that thorough work of, oh, you know what, actually here the other character is, looking at me with distaste. Okay, well that informs something about the point of view they have for me and maybe them. So you do that detective work, and then in our process, where I teach the Actors Lab, and what I've learned over so many years is you go in and go, well, how can I relate to this? What would this be for me? How do I personalize it? If it's the characters going in to save their child, and me personally as an actor, I don't have kids, but I have a niece, I have nieces, nephew, I have young people in my life, well, I'll substitute in okay, it's as if so-and-so. So it resonates deeply with you instead of being an external thing. So you go in and say, okay, how can I relate? And then you go in, and our process is you say it out loud in your own words so that you really get underneath the lines and really know what you're saying. And yeah, get off book and those kinds of things.
Sure.
But these are just like, I'm giving you like a very new,
yes.
giving you a thimbleful. But
give me a thimbleful of what takes a lifetime.
Yes.
A never-ending lifetime.
Yes.
Which is true of any art, right? Music or
exactly.
You know, if
it
you're
never ends.
If you're invested.
That's right.
If it's your thing, if you love it, if you're invested, it doesn't end.
It never ends
with this audition.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I thought it was interesting, and I think I'm not an actor myself, but I have kids who are actors. My wife's an acting coach. I'm around the business, right? So. So I read a lot about it because I want to learn about it. And actors are my clients as well. So it's really a good idea to know what they're thinking. So I read a lot of stuff, and I think that there are resources for information that actors might not think of off the top. For example, I was reading an article. I love Peaky Blinders.
Oh, yeah.
For 1,000 different reasons. But the cinematography is gorgeous and the production values and the color. I was reading a British cinematography magazine. And they were talking about their approach to shooting Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
And at one point, whoever it was that was being interviewed said, yeah, we had to change that scene because Cillian Murphy, who plays Tommy Shelby, said Tommy Shelby would never stand there. So it was that degree of ownership of the character. It's like, oh, he's got to stand over there. He would never stand there.
Yeah.
He would never lean against that wall. He would lean against that wall.
Yeah.
When someone auditions for, they get their sides and their audition and so forth, do they play it safe? Or do they go for it?
Oh, God, I feel like that's such one of those, that's one of those questions.
I love it.
Because, okay, I feel like the number one priority is to be truthful. Okay. And if you're truthful, then you're going to be in good stead. If you try and get clever and try and get attention or go out of bounds, and it doesn't support the circumstance, I don't particularly find that it's going to be advantageous. I think if you're truthful in it, then that's where you want to go. You want to lean into truth, not leaning into flash and whatever. It's just, now people ask, this question comes up a lot when you hear this term like, oh, they were really creative or they made bold choices. And I talk a lot about that in teaching, and bold choice. My interpretation is maybe you go in and you try it a slightly different way, but it still supports the circumstance and the character and the point of view. But you go, you know what? Maybe I'm a little irritated instead of amused or something. What if I try it that way? And you try, like I say, put on a leather jacket. Try it that way. Try it with a suit coat, try it with a sweater, see all these different, like how it feels, and then you might discover nuances and layers that you might not find if you just go straight through to the obvious. And so it's like a layered, I think, performance is a great thing, but something that is like out of bounds, I don't know if that serves an actor, that especially if maybe a name actor that can kind of like go in and take bigger risks like that. But I think if you're a journeyman actor, I think you want to if you're truthful, then casting and the production is gonna be, be happy with a truthful performance.
Right.
Yeah.
When I'm shooting headshots, I say, you look the way you look today.
Yeah.
This is how you look.
Right.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Whatever words you use to describe how you look.
Right.
I get it. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep last night. Whatever your situation is, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah.
So now what are we going to do?
Well, and I would also say to that, I would say the worst thing. I would say something that I think is probably when you say do. You are what you are, and your essence is your essence. And you're going to walk in the room or on, Zoom or whatever, and you might have 3 actors, and they're all equally skilled and talented. But if the character's essence is a certain thing, and one person has that essence, there's nothing you can't twist and turn your way into it. It's like, that's the essence of that you bring in. And if you try and sort of squash your essence and your natural who you are, it's a disservice, because eventually there'll be a role where it's like, ooh, that's exactly the energy we're looking for. So I say, go in as yourself in that circumstance. And that's what's, you think of the great actors that you love and you go, it's still always, there's that element of their energy and essence, and it's why we're drawn to them,
Right. What I say to people is, casting kind of knows what you look like because they ask for somebody who looks like you.
Yeah.
So, and here you are today with, tired or not tired or however you feel. All that stuff was kind of like, here we are, this is what our raw material. So now let's talk about what makes you uniquely different.
Yes.
From someone who looks just like you.
Yeah.
Five black men, 3 Asian women, whatever the category
demographic,
is. What makes you interesting?
That's right.
Why would I want to meet you?
Yes, exactly.
And then we try to capture that sort of thing.
Right.
So I think there's some parallels there.
I completely see that. Yeah.
So based on your experience, both as an actor and as a coach, talk to actors, the actors who are watching us.
Yeah.
What are the realities of being an actor here in Portland?
Yeah.
Because it's important to talk about Portland specifically.
Yeah, for sure.
So, from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'm just going to be blunt.
I would hope so.
Yeah, you're not going to make a full-time living off being an actor here. I mean, it's like that would be, could there always be I should backtrack and say there have been series in town where there have been people that have cast a series regular that's yes. Okay, so I shouldn't say no or never, but the reality for the, especially, kind of in the climate right now, it's like I have students that they work a lot and they do really, really well. And it's like, I would say in those times, it's a really good part-time job. You know what I mean? Like, so you get wins here and there that like supplement. I think truthfully, anywhere you do it, you have to cultivate a healthy mindset around it and a realistic mindset. It doesn't mean that you can't have the big aspiration. I completely believe in that. But in this market, you can work as an actor 100%. People are working as actors. That's why I have, this agent. That's why we're here at this agency. That's why I have my actors and other actors in town. Yes. Work is here. But a full-time living, that's a pretty, even in LA, or New York, it's a tougher thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Aspiration, you have to balance aspiration with reality.
Yeah, and I think part of that too, I just was talking to my students, I think we get, again, in this culture with social media and all these messages that are thrown at us, we forget like the kernel of what makes us do this and why we do it. And I think if you do it for the joy of doing it, the community, the connection, the growth, all those things, the experiences that you're having, then no matter what, you're good. Because, and then great, by the way, it's for this TV show or this film, but my opinion is you should treat an independent, short local film no different than a high budget blockbuster. Like you can't, if you start differentiating that, it's a disservice to yourself and the disrespect to the people you're working with. So it's all on equal footing and you should treat it that way. Well, yes, and I draw parallels to being not an actor, but being in a creative industry and being around musicians, and that it's really about, again, the aspiration. I guess I like to think of it like this. I try to act like I'm shooting for Vogue, even though I'm not. Right? Because if I bring sort of professionalism and attention to the attention, all the things that are good, all the respect, all the things that
all the things that photographer such and such does
That's
that
right.
have won him that job.
Yes.
He got there because he's been doing it from the beginning or has, evolved into that.
Right.
But he didn't just sign with Vogue and then all of a sudden become this guy who could do at this level because he had to practice it.
And also,
and be a professional.
That's right. That's it. That's what okay, so going back to the do thing. Yeah, be a professional, regardless if it's a student film, a big project or not. Also with smaller projects, you don't know where those, young filmmakers or older filmmakers or newer filmmakers are gonna land. And so if you come in and you're just like super pro, they're gonna be like, down the road, ooh, I want to work with them.
I remember that guy.
They don't get under my skin and make a fuss. They come in, they know their lines, they know what they're doing. Boom, 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 done.
Be a good actor, be a good person.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Just be a kind person. I would say be a kind person in that list and have a sense of humor. That would be big.
There you go.
You have to have a sense of humor.
Right.
You can't not have a sense.
Right. I'm an actor. Tell me how to fix my self-tape.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, presuming I'm not doing it perfectly already.
Oh gosh.
What?
Yeah, we're all still learning the world of self-tape, but it is the world that is here now.
What are the keys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, okay, I would say, lighting is important. I mean, if it's like in the dark or, super shadowed and really can't see, okay, that's the problem. Sound, likewise, and you have to be able to be seen, and framing. Casting is again very specific. Generally about they want it from the shoulders up in a tight shot, and they want it just from the waist up. So like following directions. And I've talked to local casting, and they just say, please just follow the directions.
Right.
Number one, read it. And I know myself, I've gone back and go, oops, I've like missed something,
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I've definitely done it myself where I'm like, oh God, I missed that. Yeah. So thoroughly reading the directions and then literally checking it off and going, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? And there's so many guides on if you Google like self-tape, but I mean, there's, like nice framing, nice lighting, clean background. Eye line is, really clean and clear, like just to either side of the camera.
Right.
Very important for the eye line. Otherwise it gets, really messy. I know I just did one recently, like, oh gosh, the reader was a little too loud. So you want to make sure that, it was too late for me. And I was like, okay, I gotta, so even I'm like trying to perfect, but sometimes circumstances you're like, well, this is what I got to do. But, having the reader, try and get a reader that's good if you can. That's not always under your control, but that's a good situation to have a fellow actor to work with. And I would also say this. Give yourself time to watch it with time padding. So if you watch it and you go, no, or you see something that you can go back in. Because I've had students and actors send me things. I'm like, did you already turn it in? They're like, yep. And I'm like, this thing right here.
Why didn't you ask me before?
Just this one little thing, if we could just fix this. Or do you see how you're not looking? Or you see how you caught the eye of the camera? Or you see, those things. So give yourself time, if possible. It's not always.
Sure.
Throw some down, go and watch them with a critical eye, and then go back in and go, you know what, I see where I missed that, or I wasn't connected there, and watch it with a critical eye. And I would say too, like, have someone be your backstop, that you trust, a fellow actor, your teacher, I wouldn't say agents because I don't have time for that, but to go to someone and just say, is this here are the sides, is this, and get another pair of eyes on it.
Right.
Yeah, but generally, follow directions, lighting, sound, clean backdrop, eye lines.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of covered this already in earlier conversation, but if there was a universal, it sounds like truthfulness is kind of your universal philosophy as an acting coach. Is that is that accurate?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
What would be the second most? What is it that you said truthfulness, you said professionalism, and we've talked a lot about those things. Is there anything we haven't talked about?
I mean, if we're talking about the craft, then we're talking about truthfulness, authenticity, being those things. Okay. If we're talking about the business side, then I would say, well, professionalism, being kind, is so underrated, and it is the most, I think, important thing. Like I'd say a vulnerability for an actor. Vulnerability, being empathic, compassionate, being curious. Like if you're an actor, you have to be curious. It's just inherent, because you are like essentially going into the human condition and dissecting it. And so curiosity, I think as a person in general, is an attractive quality, you know, when you're with someone and they just talk about themselves. Well, I guess I'm talking about myself right now, but okay.
No,
but,
you're not.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but I truly appreciate that self-awareness.
Yeah,
you're
like,
fun.
oh yeah, okay, I'm just babbling on about me, but you know what I'm saying. So curiosity, kindness, respect, humor, like, you know, at the end of the day, we are so fortunate that we actually have the ability to do our art, you know? Like, I don't take that for granted, that we are able to do it. And so I think it's kind of like putting a light touch on things, you know, not taking it treating it with respect, honoring it, and being professional, but also having moments of like levity around it. Like, there's some things we just can't control, you know? I would say too, and this is the hardest one for actors, and believe me, I still battle not as hardly as much anymore, but holding tight on to the wheel. Like, be it in the, you know, a lot of actors, I watch them and they're like watching themselves and monitoring and trying to control it, and that will kill it, because now you're not having the experience, you're just being an actor watching the scene. But even in the business, like, such a hard thing to do, but to let go and just go, I did my best, and I'm gonna like let that float away with the wind and put my attention on something else and send it off into the ether. Because holding tight on and wanting, it's a recipe for despair, and sadness and frustration. And I've been there so many times.
There are going to be things that you really want. And
yes.
There are going to be things, in my experience of raising children who are actors, is that that's kind of what we talked to them right from the very beginning. It's like, it's done. Gotta move on.
It's hard.
That doesn't mean there weren't some things.
No.
Of course. Where, you know, tears happened. And that's okay, because
you have
if
to.
you didn't, you know, it's a component of loving what you're doing.
Right.
But I think in any artistic endeavor, you take the craft seriously, but don't take yourself seriously.
That's it. That's exactly right. Take the craft seriously. I'm going to steal that from you.
Okay, you're going to put it up on the wall.
I love it, but it's the truth. I mean, it's just too, you know, again, and if you don't, and then, you know, the other thing I also advocate people to do is to create your own luck, meaning create your own work. Because then if you're going into audition and you know you've got a pot boiling over here and something simmering over there and you're not going to go in so needy, like, oh my God, if I don't have this, and it defines my self-worth and who I am. It's like, I can go in with a light touch, do it, and go, but I also have this here, and I have that there, and this is my story that I'm telling over here. And
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the photographer's, kind of the photographer's version of that is, here's your work and here's your personal projects.
Exactly. That's right. Which
the personal the personal projects, for me, the true benefit of that is that because there's no money changing hands, there's no expectations, there's a lot of constraints taken off of that. When I'm working with somebody on a personal project, say, my mantra is, let's go make a mess.
Oh, I love that.
You know,
I'm gonna steal that too.
Let's go make a mess, because that's the most
right.
fun way. Because now we can discover what we didn't know we wanted, and that always translates into the paid work, the business, of it all. So,
and you know, also, everyone, if you can, I also like to say, look, it's a collaborative business. So from your agent to the casting, to the director, to the lighting person, to the sound person, to the makeup, to every component is of equal value.
Absolutely.
Everyone's of equal value, and it's collaborative. So it's like, and everyone's, trying to funnel into the same direction. So, be in that spirit of collaboration, I'd say.
I used to review music, I used to review records.
Oh, okay.
And then I reached a point in my life where I was like, wait, I'm not doing this. So who am I to talk?
Right.
Right. And I think that's kind of kind of goes along with what you're saying, is that if an actor thinks that they're higher on the food chain than a makeup artist, then try to do what they do.
Yeah.
Try to do what a production director does, or whatever.
Oh my gosh!
Can you make this set look like that?
Well, I mean, I do an exercise in class once a year where I have everyone write a short scene and direct and cast it, like from class, and it's illuminating because then it's like they can get a sort of vantage point of being on that side and understanding why casting decisions might be made, why you might be directed a certain way. It's not personal, and it gives you a different view of from different directions.
Right.
That you're just a piece of the storytelling process.
Sure.
You're doing that function, someone else is doing that function.
Right.
And like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't set up these cameras.
I know, and I would.
Because this isn't my thing.
Exactly.
That's why I got somebody here doing it and knows what they're doing.
Exactly,
So,
right? I mean,
it's great to meet you.
Yes.
It's great talking with
Lovely,
you. I hope you will come back and chat with us again at some point, and we'll get up to speed and get up to date and see what's new about the business. And
I should mention that I teach under the umbrella of the Actors Lab, which is based in LA, and it has studios in Palm Springs, LA, Portland, Santa Barbara. So I trained there when I was in LA, and then I teach here under that umbrella. So yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Go look for her at the Actors Lab. So, all right.
Do I?
Thanks. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you.